Sorry, I had another window open which had this channel on, so I've got this really cool echo effect going on.
So you had a multiverse window.
Basically, yeah. Basically. Yeah. So, everyone, welcome to our Spider-Man podcast. First, you want to introduce a special guest. Spider-Man was such an amazing experience. Such an amazing cultural moment. I feel. I felt as though we needed a third person to help us dissect everything. It is your dowdy man, your radioactive dowdy man, Mr. Kato.
Yo, how you doing, everyone? How you doing, everyone?
Welcome.
I finally come on board instead of being in the chat all the time.
And
Yes.
we finally have our and we have, as always, we have our lizard of the group, Davey P. 3 is the magic number. Well, we'll see if we remain 3 by the end of it. You know,
Yeah.
I just might storm out at some point. My bed's
Or
just there.
someone might get.
I might get tired and just fall asleep. Who knows?
This is the test of our true friendship, to be honest.
Yeah,
Indeed, it is. Indeed, it is. But I think we're all on the same page. I mean, first off, I think we all loved Spider-Man.
Yeah. So I just want to say something to open up with. Before we get into it. I saw the movie. Blown away by it. Emotionally, it left me. Emotionally, it affected me on multiple levels. I think it's fair to say. So what I want to say is essentially, now I know, don't ever hear this, but directors like Denis Villeneuve, Martin Scorsese, who I love, Ridley Scott, and all these other haters out there, enough now. That's it. It's enough. You just got to stop your comments now about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All of those emotional and storytelling tropes which you believe the MCU doesn't cover, this movie proves it. It covers all of those tropes. It is an emotional roller coaster, which also makes you think about some pretty serious stuff. To those directors and to others, listen, moving on, getting older in life, it's difficult. And yes, you can feel left behind, but it doesn't mean that you should pick on something which has become such a huge importance to people in geekdom like ourselves. I just wanted to open up by saying that.
Well, can I interject on that, Manny P? And before you say anything, just let my statement finish first. I will actually go the opposite of what you just said. I want them to continue to be critical and hate on it. Reason being, my reason for that is I think the more they hate on it, the more it will actually make the directors and the script writers for these films work extremely hard to keep giving great content. I think if they keep getting just praises from everyone, that might actually make them a bit lackadaisical in terms of the effort and the work ethics in terms of what they're going to put out if everyone's on board. But when you got people who's constantly undermining your hard work, it makes you actually work that much harder to keep showing that, you know what, my work is something to actually be taken serious and it is just as good. So I like the fact that they don't like it because at the end of the day, it's not, the numbers speak for themselves. And look how well it's done so far. So, you know what, Martin, continue hating on it because if that will make these guys keep putting out great content, I am all for it. In fact, hate X-Men. I want you to hate X-Men as much. Hate X-Men. Please hate X-Men.
I hate X-Men movies, to be fair.
Me too, but at the same time, it was just one of those cases where we didn't know we were going to get to see something like that in our lifetime. So when we got it, even though it wasn't fully what we wanted, it could have been worse. Remember the 60s Spider-Man?
It was kind of like, it was a turd, but it was a polished Spider-Man. But it was a polished turd. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, listen, these guys are just jealous in my eyes. You know, they have a certain era, you know, because most of us, the older lot, that's really basically cussing it. Was it Ridley Scott, Scorsese? As good directors as they are, they have a certain generation. And maybe they're just jealous that they haven't got that call.
Yeah. maybe
anymore. Yeah,
and I-
because those movies
And,
ain't
and
really.
well, yeah, because it'd be most of those are fairly young. If I'm correct, they're of a young breed. Obviously, probably slightly cheaper, but
yeah.
have something to work on. Their minds are expanding. They have great ideas, different ideas, and maybe they would actually follow what Marvel actually wants compared to Scorsese, who says, "I want this, this, and this." But them lot need to stop. I mean, Marvel is what it is. It's a complete franchise, world breaking franchise, and then just need to stop being bitter. Allow the salt, stop being bitter.
And David, you made a good point about the 60s Spider-Man. Actually,
Yeah,
what we got to remember is as well is that there have been Marvel fans who were fans in the 70s, 80s, 90s who always wanted a franchise like this, but probably actually never made it in their lives. They passed away for old age or
exactly.
something else. And we're privileged actually, we're in our 40s and still in quite good health. And we can actually enjoy this. And there's actually people before this who only dreamt of this and never even could imagine that this could have been a possibility at any point, that we would have a Marvel Cinematic Universe which covers 30 movies, like numerous TV shows. That was a fantasy. That was a fantasy I had when I was a teenager. And now it's the real thing. And I think, you just got to remember there's people who would have loved this who aren't experiencing it right now. And I just think this means so much to people. Just like, honestly, just back off now, because this Spider-Man movie proves that what you're saying just isn't relevant anymore. But let's get into the movie.
But I mean, sir, but to even elaborate on that even more, Manny, if you really look at it, which I said this before on one of our podcasts, I said that the MCU is actually going to be responsible for so many actors getting employed and getting work. Remember I said that? And now you look at it, because
and not just directors, David. You've got to think about cinema, directors of photography, all the staff,
costume designers, even artists.
Costume designers, literally the whole works. I mean, you look at it, even now, just based off the Spider-Man movie, they're now going to go and make a third Amazing Spider-Man. That's one of the actual rumors that they're saying. It's
a rumor. It's a rumor at this point.
And they're now saying they actually want to make a series with Jamie Foxx's character.
Yeah, Electro, kind of exploring.
Explore that character. So again, like I said before, ages ago, and I think we're probably the first to say on our podcast where we actually said it's going to actually be responsible, the multiverse, which we stated from when with the whole Loki. It was during the Loki series we were actually speaking about that. We're saying with the with the emergence of the multiverse, it's now going to have so many endless possibilities of series. It's going to create so many opportunities for actors and characters to actually be developed. And I think that's where the jealousy comes in terms of directors like Scorsese, because you think about it, they can't in any fathom way make multiple different gangster films or series based off one particular show, because it just won't go. It won't work, because all the stories will literally be generic, literally carbon copy of each other. Whereas with the multiverse, because there's so many different characters and so many different stories, you've got so many different ways you can go with that, and so many different directions. So the possibilities is endless. And you think about it, if you've got one item, right, where you've got one piece of food and you can only cook one menu, you can only make one dish with it. Whereas someone has got multiple food, but they can actually make multiple menus. You're going to be jealous because you can't make those other things. You're going to say, well, it's not proper cooking if you can do this or do that. But the reality is, if you was actually in that position, you would be loving it, because come on, 800 million so far for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he's going to say these are not real movies.
Absolutely.
No one's taking it serious.
Absolutely. A comment here. My brother makes a good point. These directors grew up on movies like Flash Gordon, which was like a staple Saturday morning movies. And what the MCU have done, what Big Papa Feige has done, all held the Feige, just taking these to another level, essentially.
I read that as Flesh Gordon, but that's a different movie.
Yes. I think your childhood might have been different to our childhood, if that's the case.
No comment. A different kind of movie for a different kind of audience.
Really? So you've heard of it then, you two?
Actually, Davian, I think I might have to kick off Dowdy actually at some point. So I was just thinking of you.
But no, so I mean,
Dowdy starts bringing out his like best of Brazzers collection and stuff like that.
Nah, joking.
But yeah, I mean, where do we begin? I mean,
let's just go into it. Let's just go into the movie. So, Davian, you go first. What was your general feeling? Just your general feeling in the cinema, leaving the cinema. What feels did this movie give you?
It gave me a lot, and it was very, very difficult to express those, sentiments in terms of, because you can't express it without talking about it. And I couldn't talk about it because I would talk about it to yourself, and you hadn't seen it at that point. So therefore, I was in a position where I couldn't actually talk about it to you because I'm like, damn.
Yeah. And I am your only friend in the entire world. It's worth pointing out.
That's going to appreciate this on the level of where, we're the only ones who could really appreciate this in terms of our circle, based on, this is something like, going back from when we were going to school together. I used to go with you to Forbidden Planet to get comics. So it's not like, I'm one of these people who just come on board now since they start making these movies where I'm just now hip to it. Like, I've been a comic book nerd from the get-go. So to actually share that, you don't want to share it with just anyone. You want to share it with someone who's cut from the same cloth, of you. So it was very difficult not to speak about it. It was a long few days waiting for you to actually go and see it. And in that time, actually, I went and saw it a second time before you actually even saw it, because I watched it the day it came out and then actually went and watched it again on Saturday. Yeah. And then you went and actually saw it on Sunday.
I saw it on Sunday.
And then it was finally like, ooh, a weight has been lifted off my shoulder. Now I can talk because now you've actually seen it. But going back on our previous podcast when we were talking about, based on all the shows that we've seen, like, what ifs and things like that. I mean, literally all those things just came together. Like, you're just thinking like, wow. When you saw the end credit, things like that.
David, as my brother says here, it's a movie that is literally 20 years in the making.
Indeed, and they got it. It was done spot on, and I think the timing was perfect in terms of how all these things got made, because now you've got the right kind of technology to actually put things on screen and give it legitimacy where it doesn't look out of touch. Like, I think, we're not slating it, but, you look at the older movies, like the old Spider-Man, the 60s Spider-Man, where when he shoot the web, it was a rope. But I suppose at that time, literally, because you weren't used to anything better, you was just loving it because that was the only thing that was available to you.
Yeah, 100%.
But now you're actually able where now you can actually see things that come together. And then, it was just literally like, I watched it in the daytime and literally it was still rampacked, even though they had a showing every hour. There was showing on the hour every hour.
I know my brother saw it like 9 in the morning.
9 in the morning.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Dedication.
Yeah, and it was amazing. And people was like cheering. It was amazing, like, which is great because it goes to show that even the current climate what we're in.
But this was the point out, it was the 70s Spider-Man, not the 60s. That movie came out in the 70s, not the 60s.
Oh my God, the technology looked like it was from the 1860s, but yeah. Rest up, Spidey, but you did a good job for back in the day. But
100%.
Just going on what we're going through right now with a pandemic and everything else, to see people still get that kind of reaction and react the way they did, watching that as if it was, 4 or 5 years ago and we weren't in this situation, it just made everything seem so right again. Like, for a moment you got to live, in a space where you just enjoyed the moment and you forgot about everything else on the outside. And I think that was really great filmmaking, directing, writing, everything, acting, everything was on point and everyone was absolutely amazing in it. There's no one that you thought they didn't do their part. Every character was well played and well portrayed.
Yeah, absolutely. Brothers point out as well, there was also a really roughly animated cartoon series as well back in the 70s. Mr. Kato, you went to go and see it in the IMAX on the opening night, I believe.
Yeah,
I was meant to go with you, but COVID unfortunately struck me and I couldn't leave the house. your experience, your emotions.
So
Yeah.
it wasn't. I thought it was the IMAX. It wasn't the IMAX. But either
Really?
way, no, it wasn't. It was standard. But I was already hyped before that because before I left, I watched Hawkeye at work, and on the same day, they officially announced Kingpin in the MCU.
Yeah.
So I was already pumped, me personally, going to that cinema. Adding to what David P was talking about, it was good just to see a lot of people excited to go see this film. You can tell people's excitement. I went there was teenagers, there's a guy dressed as Spider-Man.
That was me, by the way, to avoid the COVID.
Yeah.
I'm joking. He wasn't me. He really wasn't me.
All right, you're gonna get that knocking. You're gonna get that knock in the door.
It wasn't him. He's been good. He's been staying in depressed, everything.
Staying in depressed.
It's true. It's true.
But this was the whole feel of it was a little bit even a higher feel than when we went to see an Endgame, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I think mainly because of the pandemic and stuff. Yeah, seeing all those people wasn't good, but then I was like, yo, where's your mask, people? Where's your mask? But and then so I was already on a very excited level.
Yeah.
Very excited level.
You kind of on that elevated kind of feel. So let's just get into a few points of the movie, which I really want to talk about. First thing, you already mentioned him. I'll start with this one with you, Dowdy, as well. How did you feel when you saw Matt Murdock appear on the screen?
I lost my yeah, basically. Yeah.
Hey,
listen. I'm not gonna start swearing. I don't know how many swears you can put.
You actually soiled your pants in the cinema.
I
stinky
soiled the pants with everyone else. Because I still had doubts. Because I didn't. All those leaks were true, but I just still had doubts. But it was for me, and we're gonna talk about other things. You knew these characters were coming. For me, it was how.
Yeah.
With Endgame, it was when they were coming because you know.
Yeah.
But this one is how. So just that hit of the cane, I did make. I soiled my pants and made a sound.
I've already found that stuff about you. I've known you for 25 years, and I'm finding that stuff about you. I've never, David.
Listen. The sound was the same as everyone else.
It's acceptable. You get a pass for that. Like they were like, okay, it's fine.
David, what did you do when you saw Daredevil appear on screen?
I was excited. Sorry, I just had a reminder coming up saying, "Oh, new updates. Reminder later. Get off my screen." Yeah. I was very, very happy, but I was like, "Oh my god." I don't want to be wrong, but I hope the other characters that I'm expecting to see is on there. So I was quite happy. And again, it was so brilliantly done, which goes to show that this had been in the works for a long time.
Apparently 2 years, apparently. 2 years, apparently.
And they kept it secret, as much secret as they possibly can.
Because they made it where they knew exactly where they were going with the story in order to bring this story to actually bring those characters in. So it wasn't just like on a whim type thing. This was well thought out. You could tell by the way the script was written and how the story was. It was actually well thought out. It wasn't something that they just done last minute just to, we want to get some characters out there to get more series, to get more views. This was well planned. There was an actual story. They knew where they were going with this, and there was reasons behind it. And it made perfect sense. And, when you saw the fact that, you needed a lawyer based on certain things, certain accusation, and we see it's Mr. Murdoch, and when the brick came through the window, and he just, he didn't even flinch. Literally, he was
his arm up, it wasn't even a neck movement, nothing.
And I love it. And they ask him, "Oh, how did you do that?" Because they thinking he's blind. I'm a good lawyer.
I'm a really good
lawyer.
It's fine.
Literally, and he just left it like that, and I just thought it was absolutely amazing. So I absolutely loved that, But
so again, David P, you made a sound as well. Yeah,
yes, I was there clapping it out like literally like that, and cheering.
You've got these. You're boxing in your anyway. Let's move on.
He has got very poor cognitive control. Just to let you know.
That's the clap that you had to do. That's that spider excitement clap. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah, grown people was cheering and shouting in there.
I hope you don't drive because them hands.
I do, but my driving is pretty much good. I'm on 2 hands, 10 and 2.
Just don't let go of that steering wheel. So yeah, when Daredevil came in for me, I did go. That's why.
So you made a sound as well. Great. We all made sounds.
That's why I done. And then obviously when he catches the brick, that's great because if you don't know who Daredevil is, you now know who Daredevil is. Like you now know actually how cool this guy is and what he's capable of in one scene. But just moving forward, the possibilities are endless. Now we're going to talk about Hawkeye maybe tomorrow, maybe Boxing Day. Obviously, Kingpin came back. I'm just going to say it now. Kingpin's not dead. Like,
nope, not dead.
He's not. And I'll explain why not tomorrow. Why he's not dead tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
But I'm going to go into detail. Go on, Mr. Kato.
Just to add to obviously with the whole Matt Murdock and Kingpin being officially announced on the same day. That's just madness, by the way.
Yeah. And
that's so. I'm now more waiting for Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and if possible, Punisher. That's going to be a little bit harder. Even Jessica Jones might be a little bit harder because of what they've done on Netflix because it was very deep. But it's time for them three and another person to play Iron Man to come in. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one who saw it, who thought that as well too. They need to replace, but then they have it's in the comics. You're saying they've done it, isn't it?
In the comics, it's going to be a new Iron Fist, and it's probably going to be of Asian heritage. But there's going to be a new Iron Fist in the comics.
Yeah, because it was just shambles.
So you're saying that they could have an Asian Iron Fist replace Danny Rand?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that would be so much better.
It's not official, but it looks like it's gone that way.
Well, I'm Asian.
I hope so.
Yeah, you need more gym work money. So no.
Yeah, and some.
I was at the gym today. Thank you very much.
Some martial arts.
Not enough.
But no. I think the possibilities, huge possibilities going forward. Lawyers need private investigators. This is very true, and Jessica Jones is a private investigator. I think. Sorry. Apparently, you clap like a seal.
So you know what? I've got my Primark pajama on. Nothing can phase me tonight. There, right? Nothing.
Yeah, just chill. So we got She-Hulk coming up, for example. Like, great. Like, it's already been rumored that Daredevil's going to appear in She-Hulk, and they're actually going to square off against each other, not in a fight, but actually in the courtrum. Which is going to be amazing. There's also a rumor that Matt and Jennifer Walters they might get a bit frisky with each other as well. It's another rumor doing the rounds as well. It's fair to say in the comics, She-Hulk is quite a free soul when it comes to that kind of thing.
Yeah, she's liberated.
She's a liberated woman. Exactly. I think it's fair to say this is all possibility. We've got the Echo series coming up. Surely Daredevil's going to be in that if Kingpin's going to be in it. Secret Invasion, potentially. Even Moon Knight, which is, I think he's going to be, I'm pretty sure that's based in New York as well. I'm pretty sure Daredevil could pop up in that as well. Anything New York based, Matt Murdock or Daredevil could pop up.
Anything grand level as well. So mobster based.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, we're not going to see him necessarily on the planet Vormir or something like that.
Not yet.
Mind you, though, who'd expect Hawkeye and Black Widow to have been on Vormir? So who knows? Before we move on from Daredevil, any closing comments?
No, I just thought it was. I thought it was very well put together, and what that also does now, it's gonna actually increase, subscription for things like Netflix for those who didn't have it, because now people are going to be interested to say, oh, I want to see, where can I watch Daredevil? And they know it's on Netflix. So they're going to get Netflix just to watch those, to familiarize themselves with it, because if they're not sure anything, because obviously now people are going to be interested in all these characters, so they're going to be, I want to know more about, who Daredevil is and whatnot. And it's amazing where now the geeks of the world are now setting the trend, because now it's
about time to.
Yeah, now finding things that are cool to us now. Everyone want to be like, oh, I want to know what that is so I can be on board, which is a great thing, because now everyone want to get on board these Marvel things, so they want to know, before it even comes out. So that way they don't seem like they're an amateur. So people are going to want to go and research, watch Daredevil to know more about Daredevil. So I think that's really good. And I think the more they start doing things like that and also sharing these characters where they can go from the small screen to the big screen and then back to their own things, that's great for everyone because it's great for that big screen. And it's also going to be great for your show on your network because people are going to be invested in those characters.
I logged into Netflix yesterday and Daredevil was trending on Netflix. Yeah. So there you go. It's already happened. It's already happened. Any last comments on Daredevil, Mr. Kato?
More
Daredevil. That's what we want. We just want more Matt Murdock. We want to see him under the covers with Jennifer Walters.
Well, they're supposed to bring it back because it had got cancelled, didn't it?
They all got cancelled.
Yeah, they all got cancelled, yeah. So they still got to determine whether this is the same Matt Murdock from the Netflix series. I think it is.
They can easily do it. They can easily do it. They can easily.
I think it is the same Kingpin and same Matt Murdock.
But what do you think is the case now? Do you think the case now that it's trending and it's becoming popular, which means it's going to be views for Netflix, which is money for them? Do you think that will possibly lead to them now saying, we're going to actually...
No, because Netflix don't have the license for it anymore.
Oh, they don't have the license for it anymore.
Yeah, so this is why Marvel, Big Papa Feige, just taken all of it back. Every single Marvel license there is, all belongs to Big Papa Feige now.
All except one.
Which one?
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, of course, the Sonyverse, obviously. But even Big Papa Feige, he agreed a loan deal for Spider-Man.
Yeah, I think
talking about football here.
Yeah, I think that will be good for them. It will, again, the fact they see how much money can be made, it will be very stupid for them to say, no, we're going to go off and do it by ourselves because it might not work out very well. Sony has this,
have decided to do things by themselves anyway. So it can happen. But the fact that it's made this much money, second to Endgame, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's in their good nature if Tom Holland is going to officially continue, we think he is, that they carry on that loan deal. They carry on the loan deal.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And I think all the money from the Spider-Man movies goes to Sony. None of it goes to Disney, does it?
I think Disney only gets merchandise, I think.
Yeah.
Merchandise.
So yeah, I think they both got a pretty good deal with each other. And we still got Miles Morales, who can come in at some point if they do need to split them off into the two separate universes.
It's funny. One of the pages I follow also on Facebook, you know that series Blackish with Anthony Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
You know the young son.
The youngest son or the oldest son or the youngest
son.
Yeah.
There's actually rumors they're saying, he'd actually make a really good Miles Morales for Spider-Man. And people was actually in the comments are saying, yeah, we can actually see that he actually can do it or whatever. So that's actually interesting, and that could actually work considering his age as well. So it will give him enough time for the character to grow as well, because that's what we want to see, the characters grow. It can go for another 10 years just to see where it goes. I think it can do very well. So let's see what happens. But for now, the ones that they've got, I think they need to continue doing what they're doing and making great products, because it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Great Spider-Man was top notch.
Great choice of color, money.
Thank you. I forgot to do that. We went in Hawkeye, we're in Spider-Man. We changed it to red. All right. I want to get onto the main thing straight away. We've still got plenty to go through. But let's just, whilst we still got our energy levels high, I want to talk about the three Spider-Men. I want to talk about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield making their appearances in the movie. And they weren't bit part players. They actually played major roles in the movie. I love it because I don't think anything like that has ever been done in cinema before, as far as I'm aware. Additionally, what I love about it is that like I watched the Tobey Maguire movies. Well, we all did. I think
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
late teens, early 20s, probably.
Whoa.
No, it would have been
Early
20s because it was like
20s.
2000, 2001, 2002.
Okay, so yeah, early 20s, early 20s. And obviously, though, I love those first two movies. I think the first two movies are great.
Yeah, the first two was really good.
I'm gonna be honest. I've never actually seen the Andrew Garfield movies.
I've seen them, and it's actually pretty good as
Yeah.
well. I thought his version was actually really good. And going back to this, which I said to you from before on our podcast, I was like, yep, he's gonna be in it. I said I knew for sure, even though I didn't see and I had no confirmation because I don't work for Marvel or anything, so I haven't got any inside info. My mouth wouldn't have been. I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut. I would have, exposed everything. I would have done a Tom Holland and just start blabbing or whatever. But I knew he was going to be in it because he was very upset when they didn't continue his Amazing Spider-Man, and he was vocal about it. He was quite mad about it. So the fact that there was all these rumors swirling about that he was going to be in this one, and he was tight-lipped about it. I said it on the podcast before, didn't I, Manny? Where I said, he's in it. If he wasn't in it, he was so angry, he would have been tweeting like, yeah, don't call my name. I'm not in no Spider-Man. He would have been bitter. Because that's how I would be, especially if it's something that I love. The only way I
felt sorry for him. He was in a tough situation. People asking him these questions, and it's kind of like, why not ask him the question? He can only give one answer, regardless of.
Because he knew he was. It's not a tough question to ask, Manny. If you know you're in it, if you know you weren't in it,
but as an interviewer, I wouldn't ask him that question because I know what answer I'm going to get, regardless of. But the truth is.
But the interviewers want to get that scoop. But Andrew Garfield knew what he had to do. He's like, I knew what to do.
These journalists need to understand that a spoiler is not a scoop.
That's right.
But also remember, in interviews, before they start certain interviews, they always tell them these are what you can ask and what you can't ask.
Yeah, but interviews don't. Some interviews don't want. In this day and age now, where everyone wants a quick scoop, and there's to be in the time of clickbait, they're gonna say, okay, I'm not gonna ask that question. I'm just gonna morph it in a way and see if I can slide it in after 3 or 4 general questions and catch them off guard.
Yeah, but I think if it's something they know that would be deeply personal to the person that would be very upsetting, then they wouldn't really do certain things because that could have adverse effect on them if it turns out that that's the case and this person could possibly come back on your show again. You've now ruined that. So I think by them asking and he was okay with it being asked, it's because he knew he was already in it. If he wasn't in it, they wouldn't ask him. And the reason why I can say that 100% sure is The Walking Dead series. You used to watch The Walking Dead, Manny, the series.
Yeah,
I did. Yeah.
You know, Carl, Rick's son.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know that he was genuinely peed off that he got killed off from the series. And actually, you could tell because he was being interviewed, and this is long after he's now out the series, and he was being interviewed, and they were asking, and someone brought it up, like ask him about it, and he was just like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that type of thing. He was, you could see
so you could feel the bitterness coming out of him.
Yes, because he didn't want to be out of it or whatever. So you can tell.
So Carl's dead.
Carl died. Yeah, he actually ends up. He gets bitten. He hides it from everyone. Then he shoots himself.
Oh yeah. So he shoots himself in like a sewer type underground tunnel type thing.
Yeah, like a little underground type.
Yeah. But anyway, getting back onto the free Spider-Man, away from the mess which was Walking Dead.
Let me just add to that. It's not only Andrew Garfield that would have been vexed. Tobey Maguire was vexed as well because if you forgot,
it was going to be 4, wasn't there?
It was going to be 4. It was ready to start. Someone said no. 10 days later or something, not too long later, they announced Andrew Garfield to be next Spider-Man. So both of them should be vexed. Should have been vexed at the same time. Only difference, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire was on the limelight. Hasn't been in the limelight for a good while.
2014 was his last movie. 2017 or 2014.
Yeah.
So no one's going to interview Tobey Maguire because he's sitting there chilling, doing the producer work. Well, but Andrew Garfield's still acting.
He's got on Rich from Poker.
Yeah, I heard that as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently he's like a really good poker player, and he should be making
Maguire.
Toby Maguire.
Maguire.
And apparently he's just been making like tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars playing poker. Anyway, getting back to the free Spider-Man.
Spider sense right there. He's able to just read the numbers, like, you know, Spider-Man.
Anyway, getting back to the free Spider-Man, getting back on track. I just wanted to say that by them two appearing in this movie, it validates your history. It validates you as a fan.
Yes.
All that emotion you felt watching those Spider-Man movies, whether it been Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield movies, all that emotion is now valid again. You can actually go back to those movies and actually it is part of this bigger thing which you're in love with. And now I can actually fall in love with these movies all over again because I actually now see a continuation of these characters' stories as well through the Tom Holland stories.
Yeah.
And there's closure. Again, going back to what we just talked about basically them two losing their jobs from the two Spider-Man films. Now there's official closure because there was going to be an Amazing Spider-Man 3 and there was going to be a Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
So now both of this can be complete, or even if they were going to do another Amazing Spider-Man 3, they can start it off. So it's closed for both of those actors.
It's closure, and also it's now brought them new fan base because now people are going to be interested to say, who is that? Like, and remember last week, Manny, I said on our podcast where I said, you know what, DC has done something that's going to work out great for Marvel, MCU. And he was like, oh God, what's that? And I said, oh, I'll wait next time to say why. What DC has done is the fact that DC, you know, now they've got all these multiple Batman movies now, like the new Batman with Robert Pattinson is supposed to be Batman from Earth 2023, like a different Earth, like an an alternate Earth. And we know so far, based on what DC's track record is like, they're not very good in terms of making actual films. Animated films, they are absolutely amazing. Like, you know, like the Justice League Flash Paradox, that was just amazing. But when it comes to actual movies, their movies have never been great. You look at Justice League, the movie, it's just like
going to go back to Spider-Man.
It's just a rubbish movie. But look what they've done now. By them doing that, making multiple Batman at the same time while having another Batman, it's now given Marvel the platform to say, now we can do it and do it the right way by having multiple Spider-Man. So we can have Tom Holland Spider-Man, but we can still do the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. And we can also give Tobey Maguire his Spider-Man 4 as well. Because if you really looked at it, what I loved how, I don't know if it was, which I think knowing Marvel, it was purposely done. You could actually see that there's certain changes based on what they've actually been through. Each Spider-Man has been through.
They're all carrying a trauma.
Yeah, they've got, you could see there's like a change. Like if you remember, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was, happy. He loved it. He enjoyed it.
One second.
But you could see him.
I'll get onto that next. I'll move it up on the script.
We got loads of time. But you could see that he's changed. That he's been through some things, and it's actually affected him. So, he's no longer. I don't think he feels like, maybe before he felt invincible, but he's not anymore. He looks like, he knows there's actually consequences to certain action, and there's actual severe, real losses that even him as Spider-Man cannot fix. And it's the same with Andrew Garfield's character. And then we come to see that was the same thing what now what Tom Holland was now actually going through, his own trauma, which will inadvertently change him as well.
Well, that was a beautiful moment. The moment when they first meet each other on the top of the school, and Tom Holland says to the other two, "You don't understand what I'm going through," and the other two straight away say, "No, we do understand what you're going through." And it was exactly what Tom Holland Spider-Man needed in that moment. It's almost equal to the last scene of Endgame when Captain America needed backup and he got it at that exact right moment. Spider-Man needed backup and support for a very different reason, because he was going through the trauma of losing his Aunt May. And they provided that backup, which he never thought, she never thought he was going to get. And I can almost compare it to maybe one or two things. Imagine being 20 years old and going through some tough stuff. And suddenly your 30-year-old self and your 40-year-old self appear to give you some advice. Or, you know, sometimes when you meet family and you've never met them before, but you get that kind of instant kind of connection, like there's no like awkwardness, it's just like instantly the family and whatnot. I just loved it. It was just such a pure and wholesome moment. It was exactly what he needed in that moment.
And I think what also made it even better is the fact that I think subconsciously, I think what I got from it in a sense is that no matter what or who they are, there is certain, you know, like we talked about that with Doctor Strange in the What Ifs, where there's certain things that it has to happen. Like, you remember when he kept trying to change his girlfriend's death, and no matter what he did, that was a certainty. Like, he couldn't change that. I think with the Spider-Mans, no matter what happened or what they did, they would all have that same kind of loss, where they would get that same message, which was
and this is what this movie's about. This is what this movie's about. This movie is about, are you able to change the things in your life which have already happened? This is what he tries to do in the opening scene. He goes to Doctor Strange, I want to change everything. And it all messes up. And this is about accepting this movie is about accepting the hand you've been given and just trying to do
and your
the best with it.
And
your responsibility with it. As my brother says here, with great power comes great responsibility.
Which I'm gonna link to. I'm gonna link to that, since this Spider-Man, Tom Holland's one, their version of Uncle Ben was basically Aunt May.
Yeah, it was basically Aunt May.
Yeah.
So sorry. So just before we go on to that, I just want to make one last point. Two last points. Sorry, I love the banter between the different Spider-Men.
That's top notch.
I love the banter.
Peter 1, Peter 2, Peter 3.
Yeah. And I love like the speech where Toby says to Andrew, "You're amazing. You're amazing." Because Andrew has been regarded as being the worst Spider-Man out of the three.
Which is
on the internet.
Very harsh.
On the internet,
it's very harsh.
It's harsh. It's harsh, but the internet's a harsh place.
I mean, Mr. Kato, you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
So how I put it, Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker. That emotion and stuff like that. Because you know, Spider-Man, when you see Spider-Man, he's always supposed to clown around, joking around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That part of Spider-Man was Andrew Garfield's.
Yeah.
So when he had the costume, you could sense that Spider-Man that we probably grew up with watching on cartoons and stuff like that, and even reading the comics.
Yeah.
But Tom Holland has probably got both of them to the T now, to be honest. Andrew Garfield's not a bad Spider-Man.
No, he wasn't. I enjoyed those movies.
I understand.
It's the writing of the film. It's the writing of the films.
It's a script right from what I've heard. Yeah.
That's what it is. Actors involved was fine. It's just that the writing was rubbish.
And sorry, and could we just have a moment, please, for the moment where Andrew Garfield Spider-Man saves MJ? Oh my God! Was that this year? Has there been a better moment in cinema than that?
No, and I think it's so. I think that was purposely done for him.
Yeah, obviously,
for his Spider-Man, to basically give his Spider-Man that kind of closure what he needed, because
which is what I said earlier. All of them,
it's like a clutch moment. You know, wanted to see if he could make the big save at the right time when everything was on the line, and he actually did that. You know, he actually did that. So even though it can't change his situation of what he'd been through, he actually prevented another version of himself.
That's redemption, and that
going through that.
And that is perfect redemption. It's and again, it connects onto the wider theme of this movie. You can't change what's happened in the past. You just got to let that go. But what he can do is change and affect what's happening in the present. And it's exactly what he done. And the really cool kind of thing they done as well was that, like in the movie, I know that when he tries to save Gwen, he kind of like webs her, but that ends up like snapping her back or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in this iteration, he actually like dives towards MJ. He's sort of using his webs. So he's actually learned from his previous mistake.
Yeah.
Saving Gwen Stacy as well, which I thought was a really nice kind of point they done. Yeah, this bit as well. My brother mentions like the bit where they're cracking Toby's back, because this is actually he did hurt his back in movie. Like real life, he did actually hurt his back filming the second movie. The second movie, didn't he?
He filmed it. I think he hurt his back filming a film called Seabiscuit.
Yep.
And it was I'm not gonna say. I think it was not jeopardizing, but it was an issue.
That's the one about all horses, wasn't it, Seabiscuit?
Yes.
About the
Yes, and it was jeopardizing
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's a problem. So he had that in Spider-Man 2 when he talked about his back, and then brought it back in. A lot of deep cuts, man. Little deep cuts.
Yeah, I just love these little bits of like because it works twofold. It addresses that old back issue he genuinely had, but it also addresses the fact that Toby is the older Spider-Man out of the three. And I did like the way he did very much play the big brother of the.
Yeah, like the old. You could tell even the way he dressed.
Yeah,
you could see. Like,
what do they call him? A youth
like
pastor,
a family man. Yeah, but he dressed like a family man. Like he's literally like he's now the grown-up Spider-Man. He's got responsibilities. Probably he's married, got kids. I think it would be amazing to actually do a Spider-Man 4 for him, so we could see his story, to see what's happened with his.
I'm down with
his
it.
Spider-Man.
I'm down with it, man. I'm down with all of it, man. I'm just like, I loved it, and just the scene of Toby with his arm around Andrew at the end, and he makes a little joke like, "You're in pain, aren't you?" Yeah, but
I'm not gonna lie, that had me nervous
so wholesome.
for a second though when it happened in the cinema, because I thought, oh my god, don't tell me they're gonna kill him off.
Yeah, to be fair, I could have done without that scene with him being stabbed. I think
because I'm thinking,
a bit
pointless.
It is a bit pointless. Yeah, it is. It was like, let's give them a little jump scare.
Well, which is good, yeah, because it's scary. Because I'm like, oh my god, don't tell me we got all three. But I mean, just going back to the three Spider-Man, the most epic scene ever was when all three were suited up and they made their entrance. They swing and then they all landed on top. Oh my god! And people was going crazy in the cinema when I was actually watching that. Literally, people went crazy when they first saw who they were first initially when they first came on screen, when each one came through. But then that scene just did it for everyone. Literally, like all three Spider-Man, like doing 3 different spider pose or whatever. That was just epic. Like, I was just like, oh my god, it couldn't get any better.
Well, it can. Yeah. It could. But even before that, I just want to add, you probably got this on your list, Manny. Mm-hmm. Let's give preps to Willem Dafoe.
Okay, let's go into this bit now. Let's talk, because my brother's getting very upset because we're not talking about.
He's sending angry emojis in the group in the chat.
Yeah, he's threatening to bitch slap me next time he sees me. No, he says he wants us to talk about the Green Goblin and Doc Ock. So, Mr. Kato, start talking about the Green Goblin and.
Now, first we know Willem Dafoe. We know about him. Fantastic actor.
Yeah,
brought it up to a different level in this film. Him and Alfred Molina, and I'm gonna say Jamie Foxx as well. But in terms of peak villainism, even if that's a word.
Yeah.
So
Willem Dafoe, because
go on, man. No, go on, man. I was going to say they're something very smart with Willem Dafoe in this movie. They smashed the mask.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, because that mask did hinder it in the first film, even though he did do as well. Now you actually got, even though Willem Dafoe's not wearing a Green Goblin mask, plastic mask that you see in the comics, you now see Willem Dafoe's facial expressions. We all know Willem Dafoe's got these weird facial expressions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
he's got that look. He's got a look.
Yeah, that weird face.
Yeah. But now he's able to do the smile, do the grimace, see the acting of him with the hood and all that stuff.
About when he was being beaten up by Spider-Man?
He kept on laughing.
He's just laughing in Spider-Man's face. That was amazing.
That just gave. I said, I'm like, Dafoe, you're just on a different level.
He's 66 years old and done his own stunts.
Man, doing all power bombs and
he done a rock bottom as well.
Yeah. But you know what?
And that's when a German was done as well, a German suplex.
Yeah, somebody did do a German suplex in the movie. I can't remember who, but somebody did do a German suplex in the movie as well.
Yeah, but going on to that, do you think it's because of James Franco personal issues why they probably didn't bring him in this as well?
For me, he don't need to be in there. One, yes, probably. But two, James Franco, there didn't need to be 2 hobgoblins or Green Goblins. There didn't need to be Green Goblins.
No, well, just in case they were thinking of, say, if they were to go forward with a Spider-Man 4, but then he's dead technically, isn't he?
Yeah, but so
Yeah.
was
Green Goblin.
but so was Norman, and so was Doc Ock.
Yeah, but I mean, not for no. I'm talking just going forward. If they were to make a Spider-Man 4,
Oh, they wouldn't have
Tobey
James
Maguire.
Frank. They wouldn't have
because
James
he's
Franco.
dead. His character died as well, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Character
So,
died.
no,
And
that's
if-
fine. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
his character died,
It
yeah.
worked out well because this one made a lot more sense.
Yeah, who needed to be there needed to be there. And I think it would have been too much as well. Like, imagine James Franco wasn't cancelled for the time being. I think it would have been too much story to have both him and Willem Dafoe kind of like cramped in that little flat. I would hate to be a writer having to,
I
to
think
put all that stuff in.
it could have worked in the sense that I think what a lot of this was doing was giving people closure. So, and I think he never got closure with his daddy because the dad died before he knew what was what. So, in terms of that, because this technically took those villains back right the moment just before they died. Just before they died. So they didn't know how their story ended. So if they got that, he could say, well, yeah, you died XYZ, which is why certain characters was able to speak to certain ones in the movie and said, well, no, well, you died. That happened to you out there. Yeah, you got killed and so, because they didn't know their story. Because in their mind, they were in that moment, yes, this is what's happening. And that's the last thing they remember. But we know what happened to them. So I think that would have been the only thing if they were to have been able to bring James Franco back, would have been just for them to, because he did have daddy issues.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, just to get that closure.
I just don't think there needed to be another Goblin character as part of the Sinister Six or Sinister Five. To be honest, I would have rather Mysterio coming back. To be honest.
Yeah. It's probably worth mentioning as well. Kirsten Dunst and the original MJ and Gwen Stacy might have been walking around that New York somewhere, just a bit lost, because they also knew who Spider-Man was. So they might have been just like,
Well, I'm not
this
gonna
isn't
lie.
my New York.
I'm not gonna lie. I never really liked Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane.
Neither did I.
Yeah, based on what the amazing Spider-Man animated series. The image that you got of Mary Jane was this beautiful,
Okay, we don't need to go into the deep. We don't need to go into the deep.
Now, David.
No, I'm just saying.
No, it's okay.
You had that certain image in your mind. You're like, oh, this is how they're gonna be, and then it's like, nah.
Okay. That's enough.
It is in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly. We're not here to shame anybody. It's Christmas Eve.
She made her money. She's all right.
We're here to be nice. We're here to be nice.
That's right.
We're super nice. But yes,
So I thought the villains were great. Again, I mean, I had a slight issue with Sandman because I didn't quite understand his heel turn, but it's not worth. It's not worth concentrating too much on.
No, I think his one made sense because his thing was he had trust issues where based on his history of how he was or how he was dealt with in terms of his life, based on in and out of trouble with the law and probably situations where people said they would do one thing and then they didn't, which led him to go in to do certain things, which got him in more trouble. And all he wanted was to be a father to his child. I think that's the same situation happened in this, where he just thought, you know what? Okay, I'm going to believe you. But then insecurities and doubt crept in again. We're thinking, no, you're going to try and screw me over. Like, I can't trust you. I'm going to have to do this. And it's just panic. It's just
hopefully, I'll take your word for that. I mean, for the sake of it, not diminishing my enjoyment of the movie. I'm going to switch quickly now to point 8 on our script because we've mentioned the goblins. This is more a question for Mr. Kato actually, because I think he's better read on this subject than us two. Was Ned dropping hints that he's going to become the next Hobgoblin? Because he does become does become the Hobgoblin in the comics. He becomes the third or the fourth or the fifth or the sixth iteration of the Hobgoblin.
I think that's just for the people that are aware that he becomes one of the goblins. I genuinely thought that you might decide to come on the Doctor Strange little apprenticeship and just learn a bit of magic here and there because he can use the teleport rings, not as well, but he can use it. I hope he doesn't, But with his mind being wiped, well, not wiped, but forgetting, it could go a different way because now he doesn't have the knowledge that he knows who Peter Parker is and Spider-Man is. He doesn't have the remember the knowledge of actually knowing that previous Spider-Man's best friends have turned on him and stuff like that. So whatever accident or whatever happens, he could become the Goblin of the MCU. I personally don't want it because I like Ned. Ned's cool.
I like Ned as well, but that would make it even crueler. You love this guy, and then he ends up turning on top of
it. And only Peter Parker knows who he is from almost like their previous life.
And I'm just going to make one quick point. And David, one quick point. I'll let you come in. So both Ned and MJ make it to MIT. Who else is going to be at MIT?
Ironheart.
Indeed. So are we going to have a situation where Ned, MJ, and Ironheart actually all appear in a TV show or movie together? And could this maybe they do some kind of experiment or something goes wrong in that friendship, which kind of acts as a catalyst for Ned to become Hobgoblin? I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's food for thought. David, what do you got any views on the matter?
Yeah, I mean that could actually work because the fact they did that in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Nick Fury, who was actually played by Samuel Jackson, actually made an appearance in the series. If he can make an appearance and he's a huge A-lister Hollywood star, then there's no reason why they can't do the same for MJ and Ned, or for any of these other characters to actually make an appearance in a show if it's relevant and it's warranted.
Yeah, 100%.
Look at it. Sorry, they did that with Daredevil. I mean, Daredevil, for all purposes, we just know from the series that he made it. He made his return or his rebirth, whichever you want to look at it, in Spider-Man. So
yeah,
it can happen.
It's possible. I want to touch upon now the death of Aunt May. I mean, I don't cry. Either of you. If either of you cry, I'm going to kick you off the stream.
No, I didn't cry.
I could see Daddy's lip quivering. I don't like this. What's happened?
I didn't cry. I thought it was relevant in terms of the story.
Sorry, just a comment here. Jacob Batalon needs to bulk up. He's quite bulky already, to be fair. Maybe. But again, like maybe it'll be like a different imagining of Hobgoblin as well. Like maybe they'll do something different with the character. Maybe Aunt May dying. Dave, I'll go with you first, and Dowdy. How did you feel when you saw Aunt May pass?
It was sad but beautiful at the same time, based on her acting. Her acting was so where even while she was in that,
Marissa Tomei's a legend, isn't she?
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. She still was trying to literally like tell him everything is going to be all right. And until she realized and he realized what was actually going on. And even then, all she was trying to do was just reassure him, trying to keep him calm. Because I think she realized now he was going to be in a predicament where he's now going to be alone. He hasn't really got any parents, no one left, literally. All he's going to have, and I think that's what made this hit home so well for everyone who watched it, because at the end of the movie, you realize now he's basically alone in the world.
Yeah.
He lost his aunt, and then he also lost the only other two people that really mattered to him, because he already lost Tony Stark. So literally, he's got no one. The Avengers is no more.
Yeah.
So there's literally no one that he's literally alone. So I think the only thing that she did try to do was just keep him calm. She didn't, she wasn't bitter in her death, saying, "Oh, I hate, he did this to me, stop him." Where he just did that out of his own pain and suffering when he literally wanted
his own mental illness.
Yeah, based on what happened, but based on how she died, she went out even in that situation with dignity, but also well enough where you could relate to the character and what she was actually going through, and it hit home as well. So I thought it was absolutely amazing. I thought she was crazy to put herself in that position, but then
Peter's basically her son, man. Like, she's gonna.
That's what I mean. That's what I was gonna say. So that basically showed exactly just how relevant it was. That even no matter who you are, you could have all the powers in the universe. If you're in trouble or whatever, your mom, that guardian, that protector, is still gonna run out and try and protect you, do everything to prevent any harm from coming to you.
100%.
That's exactly what happened.
100%. Mr. Kato, how did you feel when you saw Aunt May die? My brother said he did not see it coming. I don't think Aunt May saw it coming either, to be fair.
Well, she didn't.
That's harsh. Emotions. When the glider hit her, I had a feeling that she was gonna die. It seemed there had to be a death in this movie. Yeah. To take it to the next level. Aunt May. Yeah. And I think previously some interviews the way she was talking is like, yes, my time's done. Do you know what I mean? Credit to both of the actors, Tom and
Tom was amazing as well.
And Marissa in it.
The way Tom Holland just refused to believe that she was passing. He couldn't even entertain the thought that she was about to die.
Yeah, so that whole scene, I mean, you can get this. Yeah, some people didn't want her to die, but it was needed, and they both acted at the park.
She essentially became the Uncle Ben of Spider-Man. She's become the Uncle Ben of the Spider-Man origin movie, and she even gives the responsibility speech as well, which is actually the way it's written in the comics, because it's become a bit
morphed.
Morphed, and Chinese whispers, the way it's structured has changed over the years. But she actually said it the way it said in the comics back in the 60s.
It was perfectly done, man. I mean, it was again, like we were saying earlier, the story, right? The script, everything was done. But like you said, the fact that they've had 2 years plus to, this was in the making for 2 years, and God knows how long they've been writing it prior to that to make sure they got everything spot on. Because I'm sure it's been a lot longer than the 2 years they've been writing it, just to make sure they've got everything just right, that the story would be relevant, and there's not really any room that you could say, well, that doesn't really make much sense, whatever. I think everything that happened was perfectly done, from the whole situation of where Doctor Strange wanted to basically just send all those characters back, those villains back to die as they were meant to, and Spider-Man being how he is, Tom Holland Spider-Man, where he still got that childish invincibility where he feel he can do just about anything and he can change things, and he wanted to change things. Partially, maybe I think it's an ego thing where, I can do this. And I think also it's probably from what he's been through with the Avengers, where he's just saying, he's probably seen so much death. He didn't want, if he felt he could try and prevent something, he would try and do it. And it just shows now that by Aunt May dying, I think it's going to put into perspective that there's some things you can't actually change. You have to just leave it as it's supposed to be.
Which is the theme of this movie, absolutely. But I think my brother did leave a comment on this, but it's disappeared for some reason. I was going to bring it up. But essentially what we've seen in these 3 movies is the Spider-Man origin story. This is what people have always said, we never got the origin story for Tom Holland's. No, they were actually doing it in these 3 movies, because now we've reached the point where, as you said, Spider-Man now has no Aunt May, he has no Tony Stark, he has no MJ, he has no Ned. He is alone. He hasn't got a lot of money. He isn't he appears to be in some kind of full-time education, but I imagine it's not very prestigious. This is the Spider-Man we know from the comics, who was, hard up on his luck, young, had to get a job as a photographer to make ends meet, couldn't pay the rent on time, but at the same time was still sacrificing himself and still kind of, being heroic despite being so hard up. And this is the Spider-Man which we know from the comics, and it's beautiful. They've done this in 3 movies, and it's amazing, and they've done it so stealthily as well.
But what if now, with what's happened now, Manny, and the introduction of what am I saying? Introduction, yes, that's it. Introduction of Matt Murdock. Could that possibly now become kind of like a mentor, someone he'll be able to go and speak to?
I'll let Dowdy answer that one, Mr. Kato.
Yes. That's plain and simple. I mean, you can see, like I said, because we have obviously Matt Murdock and all the ground level superheroes. Obviously, Matt Murdock doesn't know who Peter Parker is, but down the line, team ups, and I'm sure Matt Murdock and Daredevil and Spider-Man have teamed up quite a few bits, and they've had a bit of banter between them. I'm sure that has been, and I actually would prefer that. Oh no, I would like to see that actually. Like to see that.
But you just made me think of something as well. Daredevil was one of the few Marvel characters who could work out again who Spider-Man is.
Yes.
Because I believe because of his sensory, his ears being like extra good, he can recognize individual heartbeats, can't he?
Yes, yeah.
So he can actually. I think in the comics he did work out who Peter Parker was because he met Spider-Man. Then when he met Peter Parker later on, they both had the same heartbeat. And he actually worked out. Actually, oh no, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So actually, moving on, Daredevil could be the character who once again could actually bring Peter Parker into the fold and say, "Look, I know who you are. I've worked it out myself." Yeah, like, I can help you. So I think that's a really good point, Dave. I think potentially Matt Murdock could be the first character who kind of brings him back into the fold and starts helping him out as Peter Parker and as Spider-Man. No to what?
What we just talked about, maybe?
Did my Daredevil story? I'm sure my Daredevil story happened. I'm sure I haven't made it up.
The heartbeat.
Sure.
I recognize the heartbeat one as well.
Yeah, I recognize the heartbeat story. I'm pretty sure that happens. Maybe he just doesn't like my Christmas sweater. Not sure. Anyway, moving on. Okay. I think we've covered everything in the movie, which is doing good for time. Post-credit scenes. First one. Oh, my brother's saying you could have Spider-Man in the Young Avengers. Okay. I mean, that's not in the comics, but that would work as well. And he would be like a mentor to the rest of them because he's actually got team experience, as he kind of said in the movie. I was in the Avengers, Oh, my brother doesn't like the idea of Daredevil being a mentor. She's fine. So yeah, we saw the first one, which was Venom. Venom had also been transported to that timeline. Venom wanted to go skinny dipping. I love it. Something. As average as those Venom movies are, I just love the interplay between Eddie and Venom. I could watch those two all day long.
And the crazy part is, it's literally Tom Hardy that's doing both.
Yeah.
The voice for Venom as well as just being Eddie Brock, and he does them so absolutely amazing. And I don't know how to. I think Venom and Deadpool would be absolutely amazing in a movie together because they're crazy in their own way. Deadpool is a murderer. Venom just wants to eat people.
That would be a lot of banter. But before Venom went back to his own timeline, his own universe. Sorry, not his own timeline. He left behind a bit of Venom gunk, a bit of himself. Mr. Kato, what do you think that means? What do you think they're going to just have an entirely different Venom? They're going to be like, you keep Tom Hardy. We're going to actually do him differently.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Obviously, that little gloop of symbiote's going to be traveling all over the place. It will probably maybe attach to this universe's Eddie Brock, who probably be a bit more. Could probably be the more accurate Eddie Brock. and stuff like that, or they could just jump straight to Spider-Man because the symbiote knows who Spider-Man is.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah,
because of the
But
multiverse.
also, yeah, but I think also what that showed is, since that happened, if the fact that the symbiote remained while Eddie Brock went back to his
A piece of the symbiote, a piece.
to his universe, does that mean if he was actually in Venom at the time, like transformed, if he was actually wearing his symbiote at the time, he would have remained? Because the symbiote remained, the bit of the symbiote remained while he, the host, went back. So if he was actually in symbiote at the time when everything was being erased, well, when they were getting transported back, would he have remained there?
Or maybe as the symbiote knew something was happening, he kind of just left a bit of himself there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of like a new birth, isn't it?
Yeah.
I take your point though, because they are meant to be like one universal pool of
multi-dimensional as well, to be honest.
Yeah, multi-dimensional. That's the reason he was able to jump across. I'm just looking at other people who have been Venom previously. Matt Gargan, who is the Scorpion in the comics, he's been. It's worth mentioning as well when the sky's all purple and the villains were coming through, I spotted a Rhino and I spotted the Kraven the Hunter.
I spotted Kraven. I spotted Scorpion.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've not mentioned this. I'm sure I spotted someone in a hooded cloak. Now, whether that could be Spider-Gwen or I don't know if you heard of Silk, because it might not necessarily be villains. It's people who know who Peter Parker is. So I saw someone that looked like they were in a cloak. So for me, that might have been Spider-Gwen.
Okay, yeah, could have been. That's a good shout. Flash Thompson has previously been Venom, but I don't think the actor they've used to cast. I don't think the actor they've cast Flash Thompson with. It would be another comedic Venom, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be like a heavy hitting hard.
You mean in Tom Holland's?
Yeah. So I couldn't imagine him being. Being that Flash Thompson.
He doesn't have that look about him that you could say he could be both serious and comedic. You wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yeah. There was also a guy named Lee Price who's also been a Venom, who I'm not really familiar with.
No man.
But he appears to have been some kind of. God, what was he? He ended up becoming part of a gang, basically. So he has a bit of a dark past. But yeah, that was cool. I
mean, the thing is, they could now the fact that the symbiote is in the MCU. To be honest, they can take it any which way.
Exactly. Okay, my brother thinks Watu was spotted. Maybe. Well, I guess Watu would know who Peter Parker.
I've heard that before. People said they're sort of watching that as well.
Typical boy. That man never learns his lesson, no matter what. Whether it's what if or this, he's just out there lurking in the background, just watching in his gown and just doing what he does.
Walking through with his chicken and chips.
In his gown.
Watching.
Like sucking the marrow of that fiber.
Texting his mate. Yeah, you should see this, I got £2 and I'm watching them. Yeah, some stuff is going on.
I get this, bruv. There's like 3 of them, 3 Spider-Man,
Yeah, Aunt May's dead. Yeah, mate, put some vinegar on that chips. Yeah, Aunt May just dead, mate. Yeah, she dead, man.
You lot sound like my students. Stop it, please. I'm on holiday. I'm on holiday. I don't want to.
But that's what Watu's there doing, man. He's just acting the fool. He just needs to, he needs to get help, man. Get himself checked into a center. Speak to someone.
Voyeurism is a serious affliction.
But it will also lead to
it'll get you on registers in numerous countries. It's fair to say.
So he needs to get that behavior under control, man. And but it will be interesting to see what's happened, where they're gonna go. But I mean, again, you talked about that. again, post-credit end scene 2.
Yeah, okay. You've introed it for me. Well done. Well done.
Nice one.
Absolutely amazing. And Manny, I think you called this on
I
one
don't
of
think
the
I
watches.
did, but I'll take
No,
it.
saying what if they could actually come across in one of the movies. You were saying where could they go with it, but we just didn't elaborate more on it because again, we wouldn't have thought any of that based on what it was.
I didn't
Animated.
I didn't think they would put a teaser trailer for Multiverse of Madness. I thought they would put something that would lead to it because obviously Doctor Strange was in the film, but I didn't think they'd do a teaser trailer. It's blatant teaser trailer, so that was a shock to me. I was like, damn. Even when I was watching with my friend, I literally was like, it's a trailer. Amongst other things, I also
Were
gripped
you
at
a
my
bit
friend.
disappointed it was a trailer? Because I was actually.
I think I was shocked that, oh crap, they're doing a trailer now. I wasn't disappointed. No, I was like,
fair enough.
I was shocked. I actually thought the scene would be a scene similar to the part of the trailer where Doctor Strange sees Wanda, and he just goes, "Have you heard of the multiverse?" Cut.
Yeah.
Rather than it being.
Okay, so let's dissect what we see in this trailer. We see him visit Wanda. Wanda is in this idyllic kind of orchard, it seems, where all the trees are in amazingly nice straight lines.
Completely different to where she was at WandaVision.
Yeah,
at the end of
suggesting this is something that actually she's created. This isn't a real. Trees don't grow like that in real life. It's fair to say. We see a one-eyed tentacle beast. I thought that was Shumagorath.
You all did.
Yeah, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's Gargantos, because the logos come out and it says it's Gargantos, not Shumagorath. So, yeah, whatever. We see. I know Dave will talk about this in a bit. We see a dark Doctor Strange, some kind of dark Doctor Strange. Anyway,
I have a fear on that one.
And we see America Chavez. Or was I written her down here? Umaria Chavez.
Why?
It's because my handwriting's so bad that
you just write your name.
Yeah, and as well, like Wong's in the trailer as well, and it's worth mentioning that Wong is actually the Sorcerer Supreme now, not Doctor Strange.
But by name, not by talent, not by talent.
Okay, so have you two? Which wants to go with your Doctor Strange theory first?
Me.
Okay, go on.
Go ahead.
Now, initially, everyone did probably shout out, "What if Doctor Strange or Supreme Doctor Strange?" It's not after thinking about it because I think I was just too hyped, didn't think straight, obviously, because of that Strange had a redemption arc anyway. So he's now the watcher of Zemo and Killmonger in the little pocket universe inside his own pocket universe. So why would he turn bad? Yep. I think we're gonna have quite a few variants of Doctor Strange. There might be a sort of council of Doctor Stranges, maybe.
Mephisto. Sorry, just had to throw that in there.
I think it's a Doctor Strange that probably embraced the Dormammu or the dark arts and basically messed up his universe and brought Dr. Dormammu's universe into his universe, and his Sanctum Sanctorum is just floating around. That's my theory.
Cool. Mr. P, what's your theory around dark Doctor Strange? Well, I'm calling him Doctor Strange. He might just be kind of alternative fashion Doctor Strange, you know. emo Doctor Strange.
Yeah, one of my theories, which I messaged you and I was saying, didn't I? I was saying, what if when Doctor Strange was actually when he faded away in Avengers, and when he returned, what if it wasn't actual that Doctor Strange that came back, but it's a different version, and now we've got two Doctor Strange. So you've got this dark version Doctor Strange, who we don't know where he's from, what he's about, but I think it's going to lead a lot to what's going to happen in the third. But I mean, now what you're saying, Mr. Kato, that's actually a real interesting take on it, that it could actually be a Doctor Strange who didn't actually learn from the
ancient one,
but who was more taught by Dormammu or someone from that. So he's like the complete opposite of what our Doctor Strange, what we're used to. So maybe where he's from, in his Earth reality, the one who was taught by the Ancient One would probably be who was the guy again who used to work for Dormammu?
Caecilius, Sutherland's lines.
The one that's not who's now going to be who was going around and stealing back all the magic.
Oh, Baron Mordo.
Mordo. Maybe in that particular universe, Mordo is what we're used to as a Doctor Strange, where he's the good one, the one who learned from the Ancient One. And, Doctor Strange is the one who actually is the bad guy who learned from Dormammu. So who knows where it's going to go. But it will be interesting to see what his powers are, where he's been. But the fact that they showed all those different things, it also, part of me made me think maybe it is definitely from the What If. Because a lot of that just had remnants of the What If.
Including the part where he looks like he had snakes coming out from his hands or something like that.
Yeah,
that. There probably going to be some.
And he absorbed all those magic from all, So I don't know. I don't know, and I think they done that on purpose just to twist up our brain. So they mess with our emotion.
Remember
everything that happened, and now they've just twist up our brain now where we don't even know what to think. So it's going to be a while for you to actually try and dissect everything. And the internet, everyone's going to be going wild with all different theories.
I've already seen a few good videos about the trailer, actually. Lots of theories going around.
And remember, now Marvel are messing up trailers on purpose.
Yeah.
It's now official. We now know it's official. They're messing up trailers. They're putting stuff in that's not in there to mess you out. So could go take you
to throw you off, which is good in a way, because then they can actually focus and write properly without worrying about leaks, because we're too busy trying to dissect something that's probably not real.
Yeah. I just want to say, excited to see you, Mario Chavez, featuring in the MCU. Finally, AU Mario is in the MCU. My heater just turned on by itself.
Because you're lying about Mario Chavez, that's why.
America Chavez.
It's the universe.
But I think America Chavez is going to be used in this movie.
Yeah, that's Watu right there, man. He's cold. It's raining outside. He's out there watching.
Listen, Watu, are you paying the Lecky bill? No.
With his chips.
It's cold, you know. Got a bald head as well. It's cold. He's got his little beanie on today. Where was I? But I think they're going to use America Chavez because her power, she is from like another kind of pocket universe in the comics. And when she kicks open portals to another dimension or universe or timeline, she kind of makes a star shape. And you see that in the trailer, actually. You do see a kind of a star shape. Like them and people falling through it. So I think they're going to use her, like Strange and Wanda are going to use her to basically kick holes. So she's basically going to be their taxi to other timelines and universes. And I think as well, could this be the moment Wanda says more mutants in this movie?
My problem with that is, why would she just says more mutants in the first place?
Because she's Wanda and she's mad.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
I think she is mad because with all of her powers, why would she be out there doing all of that with them trees when she could just blink or snap her fingers to do it?
She wants to feel normal. She wants to feel normal.
That's what crazy people do. It'd be like, don't know if you remember the episode in Dragon Ball Z when Goku decided he wanted to learn to drive. He wanted to learn to drive. You're thinking, dude, you can fly, you can do all, you can teleport. Why would you need a driving license? Like, you know, so she's mad. She's out there doing all of that with them plants. That's not even real. That was the key point, which many be stressed. They weren't even real. Those were figments of her imagination. And she's out there doing daily chores. Like, yeah, I've got to go and water them. You know, they need their watering daily. No, they're not real.
She might stumble across a universe which has mutants, and at some point she realizes she has a mutant gene herself.
Or she probably had that written in that book. You know, that book that she was reading, the dark magic book, whatever it is there. Who knows who knows what she's actually got from that.
Yeah, so you know? It could be a situation where she's seen mutants in other universes who are like her. She can relate to them, and she wants a bit of that. Maybe. No, I don't like that idea myself either.
Go back on Wong. Do you think Wong really just left and let Doctor Strange to fix everything, considering the severity of what he was doing, or do you think Wong is onto something, knows something else, and
listen,
it's a test.
Wong's setting up his own team, mate. He's already got Shang-Chi in his team.
One's got Abomination.
He's got a little sighting going on.
Which means that he probably knows there's something else going on, which is why he's probably getting a team ready.
Yeah. And another thing about Wong as well, he reminds me a bit of me as well, in the sense that as soon as stuff's about to go down, and Dowdy knows this quite well about me, if stuff's going to get a bit leery, a bit hairy, a bit dangerous,
you run.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, guys, I'm going to see all you guys later. I'm putting on my jacket. Tell me what happens tomorrow.
Well, I have to disagree with you in terms of Wong, because remember, now that he's the Sorcerer Supreme
by name,
yeah, but even by name, he still has to act on those responsibilities, which means if the universe or anything is in danger and it's within his power to actually prevent it, he's supposed to be there and prevent it. Now, you think about it, in Avengers, he was there when Thanos' kids came down to try and, state their claim and collect the Time Stone. He was there fighting on the forefront. But the fact that he wasn't there now, when this was just as big a threat in terms of what the consequences were of what was going on, I think maybe he's actually up to something. Not something in a bad way. I think he knows something else is going on with Doctor Strange, and he's watching him to see how far he's going, because Doctor Strange is kind of acting a bit reckless.
Remember, Wong in the comics was it Doctor Strange's apprentice or slave or Benson or butler or whatever it was?
I'm not sure we can use the term Benson.
We'll soon find out next.
It's got a lot of connotations.
Okay, is servant. So it's servant.
It was his servant. Yeah, it was his
servant. Yeah. So I apologize, my mistake. But obviously in this one, he's more of a
he's
helping hand, a guide. Because obviously he's been a sorcerer longer than Doctor Strange, but Doctor Strange's got more talent. Do you know what I mean? So as much as Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme by name, Wong's got to say, "Yo, Strange, sort this out," because he's the one that's got the powers and ability more than Wong.
But then we don't know how much more powerful Wong has gotten in the last 5 years when Doctor Strange weren't around.
It's a fair point. I mean, you know what? He is kicking Abomination's ass in Shang-Chi, like.
Yeah, and
quite easily hold his own, it seems, against most people.
And train him, literally have him as his apprentice, like where he was actually mentoring him.
But we haven't seen Wong go into the mirror universe. We haven't seen Wong go into. Oh, thanks, Kay. We haven't seen Wong use any other forms of magic, but we've seen Doctor Strange use other forms of magic.
That's what makes it interesting, because just because we haven't seen he done certain things doesn't mean he doesn't have it.
So you think he's holding back?
I think he's holding back. I think he's holding back a lot. I think there's a lot more. I think especially with the whole Shang-Chi, what went on there, I think there was probably a lot more magic he got and gained in that whole situation when he traveled with them that we haven't seen yet. I think we'll probably see a lot more come time for Doctor Strange 2 and the next Shang-Chi movie. I think there's something else going on. Because it's interesting that, you know, even with the
I think you're right. There's a lot. There's
Shang-Chi.
stuff going on in the background.
Yeah,
I think it's the Marvel Illuminati.
Yeah, remember.
I'm not being silly when I say that. That is a real thing in the comics.
Have you read something? I've read something. I'm not gonna spoil it, but it could be a spoiler. So I've read something about them coming in.
So you've been reading that the Illuminati might come in as well.
Yeah,
But
I've heard that rumor.
But look at Shang-Chi at the end of Shang-Chi when he was breaking down the ring and he said there's like a beacon in it. You know, literally like it's been.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
And it's older
The
than
fact that he was
us,
doing
right?
all of that, and Doctor Strange wasn't there, and technically Doctor Strange was already back. Why does he not include Doctor Strange in that, or he didn't have him there?
Because he's making up his own team.
Well, I think even if you're making up your own team, you're going to bring the best persons for the job if it's something that severe, unless the person who you don't want there is part of the problem.
But at the same time, maybe Wong, for example, has seen the situation. Of course, this happened afterwards, but he's seen like the situation, for example, with Peter, where he does the spell for Peter, even though he doesn't want it to happen. Maybe Wong deep down has just thought, as powerful as Dr. Stephen Strange is, I can't rely on this guy.
Yeah,
I need to get other people. He may not be evil, but it may not have something else going on. Maybe the guy's just unreliable.
And a liability, because if you really look at it, what he done in the whole Spider-Man, you know, literally No Way Home, that was quite irresponsible based on what he's already seen with Thanos and how certain things can play, you know, and the fact that he actually let a teenager was there telling him in the middle of, you know, performing such a dangerous spell. He was there. Oh yeah, I want that person to remember. Oh, I want that person to remember. And I can't keep changing it. You know, this could go wrong. Something that severe, and he was doing all of that right there. You would not have that person talking or doing anything like that. I think there's something else going on. I think Wong knows there's more going on. I mean, remember in the whole situation with Doctor Strange when he saw the whole battle with Thanos and he realized that there was only one way to defeat Thanos because he had seen all the different things. Who's to say
Did you realize Benedict Cumberbatch has very small hands?
True. How do we not know that possibly Wong has seen something similar?
Maybe.
And he's seen the danger of what Doctor Strange.
I think you're right. I think the Wong mystery is the most interesting mystery moving forward in the Marvel universe. We've got two more things to do. Then I want to wrap things up. I just want to quickly talk about Zendaya and the powerhouse performance I thought she put in as MJ. But I think I had a conversation with Dowdy about this today as well. I'm trying to word it the way I worded it to you this afternoon because I put it so succinctly to you and I've forgotten how I said it. But we're all three of us are sat here as three ethnics. I'm not saying MJ was great because she is like an ethnic, but Zendaya herself, she is a representation which the majority of the people around the world can relate to of a powerful female. She could pass for black, she could pass for Asian, she could pass for South American, she could pass for Arabic. You know, she could probably pass for most like ethnicities from around the world. I don't even know what ethnicity she is, but I think it's such a powerful statement to have her as this leading character in Spider-Man because to us as ethnics, this is what we know to be a strong, powerful, beautiful woman, essentially. And I think it's just such a positive zeitgeist to have in the Marvel universe, and to have just culturally in general, that she's been held in such, deservedly so, been held in such high esteem. And I just think it's great that we've got such a great representation of not just one type of person, but actually a more global representation of what that kind of feminine archetype should be. Any comments on that?
Yeah,
Or have I just
100%.
embarrassed
I mean,
myself?
no, that's spot on. I mean, but they've done that not just with that, but also if you look at Deadpool, also with now the introduction of Domino, and she's actually signed up for, I think it's 3 or 4 more Deadpool movies. They said at the time when she had actually came on board. So I think, and she was amazing as well. And I think she's going to be going forward. She's also going to be kind of like a lead, powerful female character as well, like main character as well. So I think they realized that, gone are the days where they had that old stereotype where they believe like certain ethnicity can't carry a franchise or a film. And now they realize that that is actually a possibility. And I mean, if you go back, you can actually look at it. The godfather to that in terms of the MCU going back was Wesley Snipes' Blade.
I knew you were going to go back. I knew somehow you were going to get back to Wesley Snipes.
Of course it does. It always goes back, all roads.
I could be talking about camels in the Sahara Desert. You'd somehow bring the conversation back to Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. Blade coming through in New York on a camel. You can't beat that. You can't beat that, right?
Because you have mentioned Wesley Snipes, I'm going to say, Mr. Kato, what do you think about Zendaya?
I know. I think you was right. You're right. It's because even when she got cast, if you remember, there's a lot of people saying, that's not MJ. That's not a true MJ. Where's the red hair? MJ can't be mixed race. Blah blah blah. Basically, they said it can't be black, and blah blah blah. And now, look at her performance. Look at the growth of MJ. Even the fact, the story of her getting the MJ name, they made a story out of that.
Yeah,
as well as the character also improving, becoming a kind of like, not a recluse, but by herself, just drawing people and just being in detention because she likes seeing misery, to falling in love with Spider-Man. There's a great journey, and being in with Ned and Peter. So the whole journey of MJ and the actress playing her, spot on.
Yeah, 100%. Because I think also when you look at it, they made them grow. So it wasn't, which I like that. I like the fact that it wasn't one of those where they're on screen together for 2 minutes and then, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, we love each other. That relationship has grown over the films, over all the films, literally. So it's only natural that when it did go that way, it didn't seem out of context. It just seemed like, yeah, of course, they've been together from X, Y, Z. And I think going forward, which is like a perfect segue when we're going to talk about the next show, maybe we say Boxing Day, when we talk about Hawkeye.
We'll discuss it when we go there. Maybe I'm thinking tomorrow, but
yeah, it brings what my issue was when characters don't have enough time to grow together and things just seem like it's just rushed to get the result. Whereas if you let it grow and then you get to that result, it seems natural and you can accept it. You accept it even better. But when it doesn't and you just try and force, So I thought it's done great because their relationship was literally of their friends, awkward teenagers going through that, plus also dealing with everything else, what's going on around them, the craziness that's happening in the world. And they're growing together. So them dating and then, things happening was only natural that they can actually be close. We could see why, even though they're just regular human compared to him as Spider-Man, who's a superhero, you can see why they still have that close-knit circle and they're doing all of that because of the experiences that they've all been through together. It shaped all of them, even though they may not have the same abilities, but it affected them all in the same way, in different ways also.
Yeah. So that was Spider-Man. An amazing accomplishment. I never thought I would have those Endgame feels again, but this movie somehow brought those feels back to me. Right, before we go,
Absolutely.
it is Christmas Eve
Yes.
in South America,
Yes, it's Christmas Eve.
and it's Christmas in India. I want to point out right now.
And in Australia.
Yeah, and in Australia, but I'm Indian, so I've got Indian bias.
And I mean,
In
Hong Kong.
in South America, they open presents on Christmas Eve. We're going to open our Christmas presents to each other live now. I've got 3 presents to the left of me here. I think Davin's got one from me and Dowdy's got one from me. So I've got 3. You've got 1 each. That's because I'm the best.
Awesome.
So I think what we'll do is we'll go Manish, Dowdy, Manish, Davian, Manish.
There you go.
Cool. I'll open my first one from Davian. This is what
David, you need to get an account so you can actually kick Manish off when he becomes a bit too arrogant.
Yes. Be careful when cutting it, sir.
Okay.
Why did you kick him off? Bring back Mr. Kato. People will riot. Bring Mr. Kato back.
Put me back in proper position, please.
Sorry.
Yes, he wants to be up the top there.
Thank you.
There you go. I'll go to the bottom. Is that better?
Okay.
Because I'm opening this big box from.
Well, we all know it's supposed to have something. I'm good at. By the way, I'm good at guessing, so I could destroy this whole segment.
It's some kind of form of artwork.
You know what? I'm gonna say it's the Watcher.
Watu with his chips, chicken and chips.
You got someone to draw it for him.
Oh well, it's actually very relevant to the podcast for happening right now.
I know. How amazing am I?
It's
It's MJ.
Yeah. It's Spider-Man.
Hey, nice one.
Spider-Man piece of artwork. Thank you, Davian. That's
Nice
very
one,
cool.
nice
It's got Mr. Rhino in there. It's got Electro. It's got Mysterio. It's got Sandman. It's got Doc Ock. It's got the Vulture. It is got all the Sinister Six.
Yeah, you know what? That's nice. That's nice. That's really good. Nice one.
Awesome. When I redecorate the room next door to this one, I'll be sure to hang up there. Mr. Kato,
Yes, sir.
your turn. This is something I got. Something I got from Mr. Kato.
All right. Let's see what it is. It's a box that says the rum company.
Dowdy has an alcohol problem,
Yeah,
Well, he does now.
and I am enabling it.
Oh, do you know what? If I could show you my stash of bottles of drink in the corner of this table.
On his bedroom floor, he has literally got bottles of alcohol.
I will show you. I will show you later. I will show you later.
Awesome.
Wait, Quan, all little rums.
Just show the camera the different bottles of rum.
All right, so you got a little card from the rum company. Other rum companies are available, and stuff like that. Got many different little cards here, and inside, we've got little small stashes of rum that will get totally mortaled. We've got Peggy rum,
Nice.
like Peggy Carter rum.
There you go.
Good segue, sir.
We've got two drifters. Like
That's you two.
that's us
Yeah.
two, just you know, like a turd in the wind. I don't know. Groove dog. Maybe the hair.
That sounds strong.
Exactly. That's
What's
like that's like the hair of the dog for that
What's
one.
the alcohol?
43%.
Oh, that's quite strong, yeah.
And others were 40%, and Peggy Carter was what is it? 40% as well. So that's
Okay.
the dog one's the highest one. And then we got hello. HMS Victoria Rum. I don't like the fact it says HMS because that's probably something army related.
Very British.
Will blow my off. And that's 57%.
Yeah, Rule Britannia and all that stuff.
Yeah, nice one, man. It add to the cool.
No worries. I was actually going to get you a rum making kit, but
I
all
think
they
he likes
are.
drinking it. You don't want to make it.
No, Davian. I have a grapevine at the back of my house, and I make. Well, my mum does it, but and I can do it too. We make port.
Oh, nice.
There's a bottle for you. I don't know if you drink anyway, but if you do drink, there's a bottle for you. Come on.
I'll take it anyway, even though I'm not really a drinker. But yes, I'll take it.
There are days in the summer you can walk past his house and you can see Daddy with his trousers up to his knees, just stamping on these grapes. Okay, I guess it's me next again. I guess. Get down here. This is from Mr. Kato. I was going to get a rum making kit, but all it is a bottle of rum, like a plain bottle of rum, with different spices, and we're all ethnic. We've got them spices at home anyway. So it seemed utterly pointless.
Point.
I could just get you a plain bottle of rum. You could do it yourself.
Exactly. Just get me white rum and just put the spice in there. So
that's genius. Whoever did that, it was like, yeah, I've got a couple of spices left over. Just throw it in a box with a rum. We'll say, yep.
It's probably the cheap spice as well, you know, not the real deal.
Keeping in the theme of this podcast, some Lego Marvel. The scene from Avengers Endgame with Thor when he's playing video games.
With Krog and...
wow, that's amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, sir. I'll be constructing this tomorrow at some point.
No worries.
It's got Bro Thor, it's got Korg, and it's got Meek. That's very cool. Very cool. It says 7 and up, so I think I do qualify for that.
Just about.
Yeah, just about. Davian, you're next.
Who?
You're next.
Oh. This is from Manny P. Let's see what it is.
I've just noticed I've got this. I think mine was the smallest present I've ever got. Actually, no, yours is actually, man. The one you gave me.
It's not that size, Dowdy.
Into the theme as well. Oi, oi. Now you can get information right, David P.
Exactly, that was my thinking.
100%. No, this is amazing.
It's an atlas, so basically it covers different parts, like different geographical parts of the Marvel universe, and goes into detail about each geographical area, like
cool.
what villains and what heroes reside there. You know what the makeup is and stuff. So I expect you to read that from cover to cover, and
definitely
get your knowledge up. Basically,
yeah, you got a test. You got a test tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to test you tomorrow. So yeah, that's all cool. One more for me.
Oh, you got 2 more.
One more.
No, one more. This is Spanish next, isn't
more. It? 1 but 2.
One more.
Remember the bag?
Yeah, that's one.
No, but it's 2 in there.
Oh, there's 2 in there. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
The man's got 4. Lucky
Check
devil.
me out.
Lucky devil.
He's worth it, man. The Duke has been absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Now show the elite first class wrapping.
I'm worried. You haven't got me like blocks of cocaine, have you?
See the elite wrapping? Couldn't find the wrapping paper, so I used the kitchen.
He's used kitchen
paper towel.
No.
You're safe, man. You're safe. See, open it live on the air so they know it's not anything.
Well, that's the end of us, mate.
Yeah, it's the last day, guys.
Oh, that's something. That's definitely something out of customs, man.
Yeah. It is a pop vinyl of the man who Davian has based his entire life around.
Blade.
No, US agent John Walker.
Ah, nice.
Very cool. Thank you very much, Davian. Thank you very much.
There you go. Now the other one.
Whenever I think of John Walker, I'll definitely think of you.
Yeah.
Okay. Gonna have a lot of tidying up to do tomorrow. Ah, my old favorite. And it glows in the dark.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Ah, okay.
Wow. Is that also
It's,
paper towels?
Yes, it's actually more paper towels. No, it's actually zombie Wolverine.
Oh, hey, nice one. It's a
That
limited edition.
glows
It's
in the dark.
a limited
It
edition
glows
one
in-
as well. Yeah.
Glows in the dark. Thank you very much, David. I am utterly honoured
That's wicked.
by all these presents. I'm honoured by the Lego. I'm honoured by the pop vinyls. I'm honoured by the works of art as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And it's all Marvel related, which is great.
I know.
Dowdy, I
That
should have
work
got.
of art was amazing. I saw that. I said, "Yep, that's definitely Manny P." So
Except for
100%.
mine's drunken related, but you know,
Actually, you can just become a drunk like Tony Stark.
in it,
Yeah.
educating people on
Yeah,
Marvel on the street.
educated drunk that's got all the swag to
Yeah.
match it.
Exactly. Anyway, who wants to say goodbye? I'm
Mr. Kato.
All right, bye.
There you go, nice and sweet.
Oh God. Okay. Oh, thank you for tuning in. If you have tuned in, and yeah, have a great Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas all.
Merry
Kay,
Christmas.
lovely hearing from you as usual.
And I will see you. Both of you stay online. We've got to do a debrief.
Okay.
Yes.